Have you ever heard of foxfire? And no, it's not a web browser or some kind of mythical animal. It's a real, natural glow, something that has puzzled and absolutely enchanted people for centuries. Today, we're going to unravel that mystery. We're going to go on a journey from old fairy tale myths all the way to hard, biological fact to understand one of nature's most spectacular light shows.
I want you to imagine you're walking through the woods on a moonless night. There are no lamps, no fireflies, but the forest floor itself, it's alive with this faint, eerie, almost magical light. It seems to come from nowhere, just painting the darkness with this otherworldly glow. Now, this isn't fantasy. It's a real phenomenon that people have been seeing for thousands of years.
And this is not a special effect. On one side, you've got a simple piece of decaying wood in the daylight. But on the other, that is the exact same piece of wood in total darkness, giving off what ancient observers like Aristotle called a strange, cold light. It's a real thing called foxfire. And for most of human history, nobody could explain it.
So, without a scientific explanation, people did what we always do best, right? We created stories. Faced with this mysterious light and the sudden, weird appearance of mushrooms, we crafted these incredible tales full of magic, spirits, and a lot of warnings to try and make sense of this uncanny glow.
Yeah, mushrooms weren't seen as just simple plants. The way they could spring up literally overnight seemed unnatural, maybe even a little sinister. People said their origins came from everything from lightning strikes and meteorites to the work of witches and even the devil himself. In some parts of Africa, they were even seen as the souls of the dead.
And just look at how different cultures all tried to explain the exact same thing, this weird circular growth of mushrooms. In France and Austria, they were called sorcerers or witches' rings. In Holland, it was where the devil rested his milk churn, of all things. The supernatural was always part of it, although in England, the story got a little more whimsical. You know, imagining them as tiny dance floors for fairies.
These rings might look pretty, but in folklore, oh man, they were places of serious peril. One legend says a dragon's fiery tail literally burned them into the ground. But to actually step inside one, well, that was to risk being struck blind or maybe even disappearing forever into the fairies' realm. The message was always crystal clear. Do not disturb these magical places.
So beyond these dangerous places, who did people think was actually creating the glow? Well, the folklore is just filled with these incredible characters. We're talking spirits, gods, fairies, all of them getting credit for lighting up the night.
The name foxfire itself is completely wrapped in myth. In Finland, the word for the northern lights, reventuli, actually translates to foxfires, and they were believed to be sparks flying from a magical fox's tail. Meanwhile, in Japan, kitsunebi, which also means foxfire, referred to the mysterious glowing fungi, a magical fire created by these powerful fox spirits they called kitsune.
And in Japan, these kitsune weren't just tricksters. They were powerful spirits, almost like guardians of the natural world. The belief was that they would reward you if you respected nature. But as this warning says, they would punish greed without a second thought. They were seen as the embodiment of the balance of the ecosystem itself.
And it wasn't just the glowing fungi, either. The classic red and white toadstool, the fly agaric, is woven into some of our most powerful myths. It was said to have sprung from the bloody foam of Odin's horse, Sleipnir. Some anthropologists even think its connection to Siberian shaman rituals directly influenced the modern image of Santa Claus, from his red and white suit all the way to his famous entry through the chimney.
For centuries, these were all just stories. But then, people started finding these ghostly lights in some of the darkest places on Earth, deep, deep inside underground mines. And this is where the myth really started to give way to science.
The journey to really understand this was a long one. It started as just a curiosity for philosophers like Aristotle and Pliny, but it was the constant reports coming from miners, which then led to formal observations by naturalists like Alexander von Humboldt that finally kicked off a serious scientific investigation into what was actually causing this light.
And here it is. This is one of the very first attempts to actually document the source of the glow. This drawing, from a scientific paper in 1853, shows the fungal threads, the mycelium that were growing on the wood.
Scientists finally had a suspect. It wasn't the wood itself, it was something living on it.
Just listen to this incredible account from a German mining assessor back in 1825. He described a glow inside a mine where the wooden support beams lit the tunnels up like faint moonlight. It was so bright, the workers didn't even need their lamps. Can you imagine their awe, and maybe a little bit of fear, working in a place that seemed to be lit by pure magic?
Okay, so we know who the culprit is. It's the fungus. But that leaves two huge questions, right? What exactly is this cold light, and why on earth would a fungus go to all the trouble of producing it? Well, the answers are in some really beautiful and clever biochemistry.
The scientific term for all this magic is bioluminescence. It's the exact same process that lights up fireflies and all those crazy creatures in the deep sea. And in this case, the light is created by the fungus itself through this really elegant and efficient chemical reaction.
You can think of it like a biological glow stick. The fungus has a molecule, luciferin, which is kind of the fuel. Then it has an enzyme, luciferase, that acts like the spark. When you add oxygen to that mix, the spark ignites the fuel, and boom, it releases energy as cold, visible light. It's an incredibly efficient reaction, creating light with almost no heat at all.
And we're not just talking about some glowing stuff on rotting wood. There are over 130 known species of fungi that can do this, lighting up the forest with their caps, their stems, or their underground network. This one here, Philobolethus manipularis, it can put on a truly spectacular show.
Okay, so we know how they glow, but the biggest question is still just why? Producing light costs a ton of biological energy. So for an organism to evolve a trait that's so expensive, there has to be a very, very good reason for it.
And it all comes down to a brilliant survival strategy. In these super dense, dark forests where the wind can't really spread spores around, the light acts like a bug zapper, but in reverse. It attracts insects that crawl all over the mushroom. They get covered in spores, and then they fly off to deliver them to new homes. It's an ingenious, light-powered delivery service for the next generation. So we've gone from a source of fear and folklore all the way to a marvel of evolutionary biology. The story of foxfire is just incredible. The science gives us answers, sure, but it doesn't take away the wonder. If anything, it deepens it. It shows us that the magic was really just biology that we hadn't understood yet, and it just makes you wonder, with millions of fungi species still totally undiscovered, what other enchanting secrets are just waiting for us out there in the dark?